Yes, good stuff. It's the final Holier Than Thou spiel for this year, and God, there's enough to get on with. I'm going to start with this, because I've said this before on here, but I'll talk about it any time something like this happens, because it's just so ridiculous. And everyone except for the people doing it agrees. Local government representatives who thinks that anyone cares what they think about international politics or indeed central government policies. For some reason, right, somewhere along the way, certain types of local government councillors have popped up that are under the impression that anyone is interested in their hot reckons about, Middle Eastern conflicts, the Treaty Principles Bill, Israel and Gaza, etc. In the past 2 weeks, we've seen two local councils waste time and ratepayers' money on forming and publicising opinions that nobody asked for about issues for which they have no influence or control. Nelson City Council announced this week they'll be boycotting companies that trade with Israeli settlements in Palestinian territories. What a win for the locals that'll be. Remember, these completely meaningless decisions require a process whereby councillors request a staff report, and a hearing of that staff report takes place, followed by a meeting and a vote on whether to change the procurement process. It's just a total and complete time-wasting exercise for everyone involved, which is a description I would also assign to the decision from some Auckland City councillors to sit around debating the Treaty Principles Bill. That was the headline out of their office last week. Auckland City Council, quote, votes to oppose the Treaty Principles Bill. Okay. And what do they think happens next? The only answer, of course, is absolutely nothing at all, other than everyone briefly wonders why they bothered before forgetting immediately and getting on with their lives. That is, or at least should be, the reaction by anyone at any time someone on a local regional council tries to use your money and resources to tell you what they think about anything that isn't directly related to the official business of that council. Some of these issues that councils are arguing about have nothing to do with New Zealand, let alone Nelson. Of course, these sorts of theatrics represent absolutely nothing other than a win for the egos of the wannabe central government MPs that are using local body politics as a launching pad for their own personal political career. And that's the real problem. And it's a problem chugging away in the background in some of these councils, is people who really want to be or should be in Parliament rather than local government. And that's why they're sodding about on your dime, making up sort of model UN type votes on central government policies and global conflicts, when they should really be focusing on the things that their local residents have voted them in to deal with, like roads and transport and things happening in parks and that sort of stuff. So I'm going to say to these people using their positions on councils and their ratepayer funded salaries to broadcast their political views, I'm going to say piss off. And I hope that's the last time I have to say that. Nobody's interested. These issues you're attempting to intervene in have nothing to do with you. And it's not your job to intervene in. It's not. You're not paid to do that. It's not like there's not a market for it. There's not like a global outpouring of demand for the local council member for East Howick's views on the invasion of Palestine. Also this week, BNZ found headlines for winding back lending to petrol-based businesses like gas stations because they're not in line with their back-patting carbon footprint policies. It might not seem like a big story, this, but it is, because it's one of the things. It's one thing for governments to sign New Zealand up to these kind of international accords where big, powerful countries like China and India demand that small island nations in the South Pacific pay them carbon credits and stuff. But when banks, right, start turning down money in order to look woke, you've got a problem. And that's what BNZ's doing by turning away petrol stations. It's not a business decision. It's not about credit risks, or at least that's not the main reason why this is happening. Banks aren't crapping themselves about the impact of impending takeover of electric vehicles. The EV industry actually had its worst sales quarter in history this year, and oil is involved in everything from the petrol stations to the paper they wrote those ludicrous carbon policies down on. So, of course, BNZ would not be interviewed on this decision either. And that's the last Holier Than Thou for 2024.